Today, we're diving into something pretty amazing. We're going to look at how one guy, the Apostle Paul, completely flipped the script on how to read the Bible. I mean, he didn't just offer a new opinion. He changed the entire game for how Christians would read their most sacred texts, forever.
Yeah, that really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? It frames Paul not just as some apostle, but as this brilliant, game-changing scholar. And it makes you wonder, right? What was his secret sauce? What did he do that was so special that it would echo for thousands of years?
Okay, so here's the deal. Paul wasn't just another guy offering his 2 cents on Scripture. No way. He came up with a whole new framework, a new system. He basically said, hey, the Scriptures can interpret themselves. He believed the key was already hidden right there in the text. And that key, well, it was a person.
And this is the absolute core of his whole idea. The master key that could unlock the entire Hebrew Bible was Jesus Christ. For Paul, everything, and I mean everything, every prophecy, every story, every single law, it all pointed directly to him. It was a radical idea.
Now, there's a fancy word for this kind of work, exegesis. It's just the critical interpretation of a text. But what Paul was doing, his brand of exegesis was on another level. It wasn't just academic, it was revolutionary, it was creative, and boy, was it going to be influential.
Which brings us to this really powerful analogy. For Paul, Jesus was the ultimate Rosetta stone. You know, that slab of rock that finally let us read Egyptian hieroglyphs? Well, in the same way, Paul said that Christ unlocked the hidden language, the deeper meaning of the entire Old Testament. All of a sudden, texts that people had known for centuries were lit up in a completely new way.
Okay, but we have to be super clear on something here. This is a crucial point. Paul was a devout Jew, a highly trained Pharisee. He never argued that Jesus replaced the Hebrew Scriptures, not at all. For him, it was all about fulfillment. It was about continuity, not a rupture. Think of it like this. It wasn't a brand new book. It was the final, incredible chapter of a story that was already being told.
So, if Jesus was the key, how exactly did Paul turn it in the lock? What tools was he using? Let's pop open his intellectual toolkit and take a look.
And man, his methods were seriously sophisticated. First, there was this idea of revealing a mystery, basically uncovering these profound truths that he believed were hidden in plain sight all along. Then he was a master of what we call intertextuality. He'd weave together quotes and allusions from all over the Scriptures to create this brand new tapestry, this new story, all pointing to one person. And finally, his readings were generative. They weren't just old, dusty interpretations. They were alive, creating fresh meaning for new people in a new time.
Which makes you wonder, who was this guy? What made Paul the perfect person for this monumental job? I mean, when you look at his resume, it's almost uncanny. It's like he was built for this exact mission.
It really was a perfect storm. First, you got his Pharisaic training. He studied under a famous rabbi named Gamaliel, so he had this mental database of Scripture like you wouldn't believe. Then he was a Roman citizen, which was his passport, right? It gave him the mobility to travel and connect the Jewish and Greco-Roman worlds. And finally, he grew up in Tarsus, a Greek city, so he had Greek logic down cold. He could argue and reason in a way that the Gentile world could actually understand. It's like his whole life was being prepared, repurposed for this one thing.
But, all that incredible training, that was only part of the story. There was one final, crucial piece to the puzzle. As the saying goes, the Spirit came and just flipped the lights on. That was the spark. That's what took all his brain power, all his knowledge, and transformed it into what he saw as divine revelation. It's how he could finally see the pattern, the person that he believed was there all along.
Okay, so what happened next? What was the long-term legacy of all this? Let's zoom out a bit and see the massive ripple effect Paul's work had on history. And trust me, it's huge. You can literally draw a straight line through history. It starts in the 1st century with Paul's letters. They lay the groundwork. Flash forward a few hundred years, and you get one of the most important thinkers ever, St. Augustine. He's deeply influenced by Paul, especially the book of Romans. Then Augustine's work goes on to basically shape the entire theological tradition in the West. It's a direct lineage, an incredible chain of influence.
So when you boil it all down, this is Paul's legacy. His radical, Christ-centered approach wasn't just another opinion. It was a whole new method. He taught people a new way to read, to see the Old Testament through the lens of the New Covenant. He didn't just join the conversation. He completely changed what the conversation was about.
And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it?
Paul's story is this incredible case study of how one big idea can change everything for millions of people. It shows you the sheer power of a new perspective, a new way of reading, to redefine history, faith, even the meaning of life. It really makes you wonder, what's the next big idea that's out there, just waiting to flip the lights on for all of us?
Thanks for watching. Visit our website, www.christthelivingtruth.com, to learn more.